Hi, welcome to the garden. I'm back. I was gone for about a week. I'm taping this for May 10th. Um, and I did need to get some time off. I had to get some things straightened out. I had some work that I had to do. I had to make a quick trip to Austin in one day and come back, and I had a lot of time to think while I was doing all this stuff. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and I'm a mother. And I had a mother. That wouldn't amaze anyone, I'm sure. And actually, today would have been her birthday. Today, she would have been 100 years old. And she's a very interesting woman. She graduated from nursing school in the 1930s with a 4-year degree at the age of 19. She was the youngest nurse they ever graduated out of that university at that time. She's very skilled, very incredible woman, very well managed. Everything I ever learned about organizing people and running stuff, I learned watching her run in my hometown, the YMCA, as the treasurer from our kitchen, listening to the phone calls. She also was a very Republican woman, not the school that's now. She was a Rockefeller Republican. I'm not so sure where she'd be now if she was in the political spectrum anymore. But so kind of Mother's Day is always like really Mother's Day for me, because it's really when I think about my mom, and her birthdays always was right around Mother's Day. Um, so I started looking up some quotes to think about Mother's Day. When I think about Mother's Day, from my perspective, I have great kids. I like them. I mean, and trust me, I know that's not always true. And it's not always true that the kids like you back, but mine at least claim to. I really think they do. They choose to live around me and actually live with me. Um, and I'm kind of proud of that. They're interesting people. But I tell you, the one thing motherhood taught me was motherhood. When I gave birth 45 years ago, motherhood was the first thing that happened that I couldn't escape. I mean, once I was going to go ahead and have the baby, and we were going to go ahead and start making all those plans, and he was supposed to come on Valentine's Day, and he came March 13th, which meant he started off with a deficit as far as I was concerned, but he's made up for it. He's a good kid. But I realized when I was pregnant, all of your life you have dates you think you're going to meet, like you're going to maybe graduate from high school this time, or go to college and graduate in this time. And if you did that, or you're going to have other dates that came up, if you got married, if you had a big wedding, like my mother had the wedding of the century in my hometown for my wedding. Was not my choice. It was her wedding, but she had a good wedding, and I got to attend in a white dress. But those dates, I mean, trust me, a couple days before the wedding, I thought maybe I should just run away. A lot of things would have been very different in my life if I had, and I'm glad I didn't. But the thought crossed my mind. But when you're going to have a baby, that kid's coming. Some event's going to happen around that date, and you're going to need to be there. And there's no escaping it, and you're all part of it. And in the case of my son, I grew up in a family of 5, but I was the middle child, and I had little brothers. But by the time I messed with them, they could walk and talk and take care of their own diapers and stuff. But I never, really had a small infant in my arms. And I had Sean, and they came and they handed me and said, "Here's the baby. You're going home." And I went, "Really? Really? Oh my God." And it spun on from then. I learned to accommodate him. He learned to accommodate me. And I think one quote that sort of sums up how I feel about being with my kids: I want to thank them for laughing with me at the best of times and sticking with me through the worst of times. And that's to me a real kindredship and family type bonding. I also have some close friends that I could say that phrase to, that I feel very close and loving towards. And I think that that's kind of important. But the other quote I found when we're talking about moms, my mother was a neat freak. I remember one time when I was in college and there was a Lysol ad on the TV. Remember TVs, ads you couldn't fast forward through, had to watch the whole thing. And there was a woman underneath her sink cleaning the pipes with Lysol and talking about how this kept her house fresh. And the girls I lived with, I went to a relatively, it was a private college and it was male, female, it was co-ed. But the girls there, a lot of them, I had to take girls from my floor on the dorm down and show them how to run a washing machine. So there was a certain level of privilege that was at that school. And they were laughing and they're going, can you imagine getting under the sink and cleaning your pipes? Who would care? I'd actually seen my mother do that. So I just kind of said, anyways, my mother lived at the whole different level of cleanliness. And I think some of it had to do with being a nurse. And some of it had to do with having been raised on a farm and never wanting to go near anything that looked like a farm again. But anyway, I found this poem, and this spoke more to me for what I felt like as a good mom. Good moms have sticky floors, messy kitchens, laundry piles, and happy kids. And I remember that there was a household near where I grew up, and they were the Frickies. And that totally defined the Frickies household. There were 6 kids in this house, and their father was a doctor like my father was. But Miss Fricky would just come out. She'd walk downstairs one day. We'd all be playing out in the backyard. And she'd say, we're going to have a picnic. And she just whizzed together a picnic and march us all down to the park. And everybody just sit there and have just the most ad hoc picnic ever. I grew up in a household where if we were going to have a picnic, everything was written out in big lists and everybody knew who was bringing what. And it was like a major production, and major production picnics were fine too. But the good mom struck me that I had friends that would come to my house and they'd go, is it okay to sit in your furniture? Now, mind you, I grew up in the generation of furniture that they had the plastic. A lot of younger people are going to understand. They had zip-on plastic covers that they put on the furniture because my mom had 5 kids. And we were sticky little monsters. So, and those things only came off when we had guests. We had barrel chairs, which are these big rounded sort of chairs. They had those plasticky. I can remember my mother zipping those suckers back on the second the party was over. So I would rather be the good mom with the sticky floors, the messy kitchen, the laundry piles, and happy kids. And I hope that kind of gives you an idea of what I think. Well, we're going to go back. Excuse me. It's allergy time. I'm going to go back to my inner child card. We're going to pull a card for motherhood, and that'll be the end of my spiel on motherhood, except it's a joy that I love having. I also totally appreciate my friends who never chose to have children, because I think unless you really want them, don't have them. Because I talked to a lot of people, read cards for a lot of people that came from families that they weren't sure they were really wanted. My kids were wanted. I wanted to be a mother, and it worked out fine. So Mother's Day is a good day for me. I know Mother's Day is not always the greatest day for some people. The Seeker of Hearts is the card we pulled. That's the Knight of Cups. And I will look up what it says about him, and I will hold his card up because 4 of Hearts, Seeker. Okay. The Seeker of Hearts in the storylines, that comes from Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and it's a Tin Man. He was a tinsmith's creation and had forgotten to give him a heart. He desperately wanted to have a heart. And he cries, and that actually made him freeze up. And that's how Dorothy met him on the Yellow Brick Road. In The Seeker of Hearts, the Tin Man wears a suit of armor, shielding and protecting him from the strange world of feelings. His horse suggests freedom of the soul, carrying the Tin Man through the important points in his life. But the Tin Man must evolve. He must get a heart to truly become part of humanity. When the Tin Man appears in your reading, it's to be more open-hearted. Rejoice in your opportunities to experience an initiation into the realms of feeling, devotion, and compassion. Remember to express your emotions. Remember to cry and reveal the pain that lives at the core of every human soul. Be a seeker of hearts and find the ways to uplift friends and relatives in trouble. As a warrior in the universal world of love, you have a special gift and spirit for every person you meet on the path of life. And I think that's part of what considering motherhood, because I've been mothered by a lot of other people that didn't necessarily have that title. Helen had the title. Some other people did the deal because they were the ones that were near me and could help me the most. And I would hope all of you have someone around you who loves you and cares for you and treats you well. And with that, I will end my Mother's Day spiel. I will be back on doing some more crystal shows. Yesterday, if all goes well, because I'm taping this a little ahead, yesterday I was on a Mother's Day show with Lilac Lantern, and I will post the name of the person who's actually hosting it on their StreamYard station. I will put that out in public comments so you can see that, and I hope you get to come and see us do that. And with that, I'm saying goodbye, and I will be back. I know for sure tomorrow I'm doing a presentation on how to fire up a grid, and then it's back to rocks and readings, and I'm available for both now. I'm back out of my self-imposed exile of being on my own. It was lovely. You should try it sometime. Bye.